I'm Eric Court. Welcome to episode 2 of Real and Present, a podcast about mindfulness as a practice and mindfulness as a way of life. Today I would like to talk about the act of meditation. How does one meditate? There are many ways to meditate. Meditating on your breath, sitting in the lotus position with your eyes closed, walking meditation, meditating on a word or mantra. And of course online there are many guided meditations. Today I want to offer just a very brief guided meditation as a point of departure for your own practice. But first, I want to discuss 3 invitations of mindfulness and meditation. I use the word invitations because I want to avoid words like goals or objectives. When we think in terms of goals or objectives, we create the opportunity for failure. But in meditation, there can be no failure. There's only discovery. Sometimes what we might discover is that our mind is full of thoughts, that our thoughts seem to have a hold on us rather than the other way around. But even this realization can be helpful and can be a step in the right direction, so to speak. In addition, when we come to mindfulness meditation with goals and objectives, we run the risk of closing ourselves off to the full potential of meditation. I often think I know what I want in life, but often what I think I want turns out to just be a cheap imitation of what reality actually has to offer. We want to come to meditation with an open mind and without judgment, so that we are open to the full potential of the experience. But of course, all of us come to meditation because we're looking for something. Perhaps we are looking for relief from some kind of suffering. Perhaps we are trying to achieve something. If we weren't searching for something, we would not be investigating this practice to see what it might have to offer us. So, by way of encouragement, I offer these 3 invitations. Now, the purist would say that invitations is not the right word either. Then we might ask the purist what the right word is. And the purist would probably tell us that words are the problem, not the solution. At that point, we would thank the purist for their great wisdom and decide that we'll just stick with the word invitations for now. The first invitation of meditation is attention to the present moment. The present moment is the only time or place that anything actually happens. But of course, so often we find that our minds are somewhere else, either in the future or in the past. We then run the risk of missing out on what is actually happening in our life. Meditation affords us the opportunity to attend to the present moment and then to carry on that practice throughout the rest of our day. The second invitation is to become observers of our thoughts and emotions. And here I'm not even talking about controlling our thoughts and emotions, simply learning to observe them. Once we find ourselves in a position where we can observe our own thoughts and our own emotions, we then realize that we are more than our thoughts and emotions. There must be someone or something that is observing those thoughts and emotions. By learning to step outside of our thoughts and emotions, we become aware of what it means to be a self, whatever that might mean. And then the third invitation is to have some choice over our thoughts and our emotions. Once we learn to observe our thoughts and emotions, we can then begin to exert some control over those thoughts and emotions and ensure that they are serving us rather than the other way around. To what extent we can control our thoughts and emotions, of course, will vary day by day and year by year and person by person. But this is something that we can notice and nurture in our practice. For now, I invite you to join with me in a brief guided meditation. Again, this is a very brief meditation that I hope will serve as a point of departure for you in your own practice. And in the notes for today's episode, I'll put some links to some other guided meditations online that I have found to be helpful. Simply find a place where you can sit comfortably. It doesn't need to be in a particularly quiet place. It could be inside, it could be outside. Ideally, it'll be somewhere where you might not be interrupted for a few minutes. Take a couple of slow breaths in and out. As you do so, let any tension that you notice in your body slowly relax. Now notice what is around you. Ideally, see if you can foster an attitude of appreciation for some of the things around you. Perhaps you could appreciate the beauty of a piece of art or a piece of furniture or something you see in nature around you. You could even appreciate the convenience that is represented by a computer or a cell phone or a car that is in your environment. Just notice the things that are around you. Now, pick out one object in your environment to pay attention to specifically. Whatever that object is, think about the colors that are present in that object. Name those colors to yourself. Now think about the shapes that are present in that object. Again, name those shapes to yourself. Now go back to thinking about the colors in that object. Now again, notice the shapes. Go back and forth between thinking about the colors in the object and thinking about the shapes in the object, and try to notice yourself switching between these thoughts about colors and these thoughts about shapes. Bring yourself back to thinking about the colors in that object. Allow those thoughts about colors to simply fade away. Imagine that those thoughts are moving away from you farther and farther until they are gone entirely. Bring your thoughts back to the colors of that object. Name those colors to yourself. And let that thought fade away. What takes the place of those thoughts about colors? Perhaps it is thoughts about shapes. Perhaps it is thoughts about something you need to do tomorrow or something you did earlier today. Perhaps there's nothing at all that replaces those thoughts about colors. Bring your thoughts back to thinking about the colors in that object. Again, practice switching between thoughts about colors and thoughts about shapes. Notice yourself switching between thoughts about colors and thoughts about shapes. Think about the shapes that are present in that object. And then again, let those thoughts about shapes just fade away. What are you thinking about right now? Perhaps you're thinking, is this podcast still going? Did my phone die? Perhaps you're thinking about colors. Perhaps you're thinking about something that you said to your neighbor yesterday. Perhaps you're not thinking about anything at all. Notice that you are thinking about shapes, and now those thoughts are gone, but you're thinking about something else or thinking about nothing at all. If you want to, you can continue this practice of thinking about different aspects of some object in your environment and noticing your thoughts changing from one thought to another, and practicing allowing your thoughts to fade away. This might be easy, this might be difficult. No matter what your experience, it is very useful to be able to observe your thought life. Feel free to continue this practice as long as you like. I hope that you will join me again next week, and until then, be well.